the emotions that you go through. The first one is anxiety. Another one is fear. I mean, everyone has a fear of dying, obviously. Another emotion is how do you generate friendships and camaraderie in a unit where it's not only me, but I'm here with my brothers and sisters in this unit. So we're all in this together and you don't want to disappoint someone else. So that's another emotion. You rely on your training. You know that you're prepared for doing what you do. But the other thing I'd tack on at the end is soldiers understand that is part of the requirement of signing up to serve the nation. There is always that concern that you might have to give your life in that defense. It's the only profession that asks that, where you know that if you're suddenly called by your civilian leaders to go into combat, that there is a possibility that you could be hurt or killed. That is one of the key differentiators of the military profession versus being a lawyer or a doctor or a minister. And you have to take it as part of your requirements. So in knowing that, and then one day being asked to actually deliver on that oath that you've taken to the military to defend the country, it suddenly becomes part of your stark reality that this could be something where I'm really truly being asked to put my life on the line to protect our country, to protect our fellow citizens. All of that goes into the emotional conundrum that everyone faces when they're asked to go to combat. And what was interesting, Danny, is Desert Storm. I was a young major at the time, but that was my first combat experience. So the emotional dynamics were much higher. I went to combat a couple of more times after that, twice more in Iraq, multiple visits to Afghanistan where we were in harm's way. So, and every day literally on the border between East and West Germany, where there was tensions between the freedoms that were associated with the wall and the Iron Curtain, experience more and more of those kinds of situations where you're placed in a crisis. Your anxiety level goes down. You have more of a personal courage to understand what you're being asked to do and how you're being asked to do it. But there's also an understanding that your preparation and your ability to face those kind of fears goes up every time you are put in those kind of positions. It's sort of like building resilience of understanding the situation you're being placed in, whether it's trauma or tragedy or any other kind of stressors, and knowing how to address those things so you stay as calm as you possibly can and keep your wits about you in a crisis. And they're translatable. I mean, as a nation, as a world, we went through the COVID crisis, and there was the same kind of fear and anxiety about possibly dying, but in this case, from an unknown and an unseen disease. So as I worked with doctors during that period, they were initially very fearful and highly anxious about what the disease might cause, not just to their patients, but to them. But the more and more they experienced the crisis of COVID, they were able to adapt to that and provide the best care possible, which was not the case at the very beginning. There was a lot of very nervous physicians and nurses treating patients. So in any kind of crisis situation, you adjust and you adapt and you build resilience to face some of your fears.